You are listening to the Starter Girls podcast with Jennifer Loading, where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are my friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. This episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photographer with Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. And with that, we're going to get things started. Today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, my friends, I'm super excited to welcome my guest to the show today, Diane Burton. She is an author, a coach, and a speaker. She calls herself the Masterpiece Coach. She's been a TEDx presenter. Some of her specialties, Diane, I had to go on your website and look at all this amazing stuff, but she is a certified grief coach, a licensed and certified John Maxwell coach, a holistic cancer educator, weight loss release coach, and a self-image coach. This is just to name a few of her things. She's also the author of The Master's Masterpiece, and her story tells how she overcame bullying and obesity to realize that, as she frames it, I'm God's masterpiece. So welcome to the show, Diane. Super excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Jennifer. Thank you.
This is going to be so much fun because I know when you and I talked off of this, we just were like ping-ponging back and forth with just energy and enthusiasm. And I always love getting people on here that just really a lot of people that have worked on personal development, because there's so much to that common thread that we have. And so we're going to have so much fun here. I'm super excited about it. So I want to dive into this because I know that this is like an anniversary thing for you, like what's going on right now. And I really want to kind of dive into your story a little bit and want you to walk us back and tell us a little bit about how this journey came about for you and how you got to where you are today.
Well, it's going to be 50 years, January 2021, that I started a weight loss program. However, it was many years before that I started gaining weight. I was actually 6 years old when I started gaining weight. We have no idea why. And all through the years, I just kept gaining weight. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I was nearly 100 pounds overweight. And so all through those years, people made fun of me. I was bullied. Even the teachers made comments. And I allowed those things to make me feel unworthy, to feel stupid, to feel like I wasn't creative, not pretty, just a lot of things going on. And then I held on to all of that, Jennifer. You know, it just was there. But the anniversary is January of 1971, my senior year in high school. I started a weight loss program. And by the time I graduated, I'd lost quite a lot of weight. And then by the time I started college in the fall, I was at a good, healthy weight. And since then, I've even lost more. However, things changed after I lost the weight and I went to college. I didn't make good grades in school until I went to college. And I started dating when I was in college. I didn't get to date. Nobody wanted to ask this overweight kid out. So then fast forward 40 years from when I started losing my weight, January of 2011, I was introduced to a grief coach. And I listened to her and I thought, I want to do that. And let me back up to 1981. I got into a direct sales company and I began to feel pretty and to like myself a little bit. But I still held on to all that stuff and I let it sabotage me. I was not being the person I really could be. And so at the first training in January of 2011, the grief coach trainer took me through a method that she uses called the Peace Method. And we discovered that I had been holding on to this fat girl in my head for 40 years.
Wow. I
would look in the mirror, Jennifer, and still see her. Every time I'd get dressed, I would ask my husband, does this make me look fat? And it was crazy. Yet that's how our mind works. It was programmed. And I stepped into that belief. I lived the belief that I was unworthy, that I was ugly, that I was not intelligent, that there was no creativity in me. And now here I am 50 years later, all these coaching certifications and getting to work with people. So it has been an amazing journey. And I'm going to call this Project 1182499. So do you want me to go into detail
Yes,
on
I was
that?
going to say, yeah, you need to tell us. No, you need to tell us what that is, because you did send me a note on that today, and I did want to ask you about that because I love, and I want to say something about your story that I think is so neat, because I think there are a lot of people that can resonate with this, and I can resonate with even pieces of what you're talking about. To me, it is so interesting that, people will ask me even all the time about how it is that, you and I come from kind of similar backgrounds in our network marketing. And so we, in the company, credible company, great mentors. I tell people, the reason I am where I am today is because somebody believed in me. Somebody believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. But it's so interesting to me how we can harbor things for so long. They can be within us. And then all of a sudden, it's not a one-day thing, but all of a sudden you get on that other side and you realize you're no longer a victim of those thoughts any longer. You become free from see, I'm getting chills with us talking about this right now, because people ask me this all the time, and I coach women on this too, when we get to that place where we own our superpower and we know our worth, and you are no longer looking in that mirror and beating yourself up about who you are as an individual, whether it's a weight thing, an ugly thing, a personality thing, whatever it is, right? So I just want to say to you, wow. I mean, just to have had that for so long, but then to be able to actually get on that other side of that and be like, I'm no longer a victim of that mindset. You know what I mean? This is just so awesome. But yes, tell us about this project, what this stands for.
Okay, well, let me back up just a little bit too. Think about 96 pounds off total now.
Okay.
Having kept this weight off 50 years. Most people who lose weight, 65% gain it back in 1 year and 95% gain it back in 5 years. And most people are yo-yo, up and down, up and down, up and down. And so I have such a passion and a desire to work with people, because it's a mindset thing. And so that's where this Project 1182499 comes in. And that is, I made a decision. And if you were to think, let's just use a number here. This is where I come up with this project number. What if I made 10 decisions a day? And 365 days a year times 10, multiply that times 50 years, is 182,500 decisions I've made in those 50 years.
Wow.
But the one is I made a decision. I had a desire. Here's what's interesting, Jennifer, is I had the desire to be thinner, to not be overweight. Yet I didn't know how to go about losing the weight. People were constantly after me. It was constant of, oh, Diane, you're so pretty. Imagine what you'd look like if you lost weight. Take me to the doctor and get a diet pill. It was constant. And every time somebody made fun of me, called me a name and bullied me, it was like, I'm putting this up and leave me alone and I'm going to live my life. It was that stubbornness probably. And so when I made the decision, that's what's important, is when someone, even though they might have the desire for something, they've got to make a decision, and then they've got to take action on that. And so one of the 1822499 is I made the decision. And the 1822499 are all the other decisions I've been making over these past 50 years. And it's decisions of, I'm going to forgive myself. It's decisions of, I'm not going to beat myself up when I eat something maybe I shouldn't. It's a decision of, I'm going to get out of this pit. I'm going to reach my hand up and let somebody help me through all of this. People have walked beside me in this. It's been amazing. But it all goes back to that first decision. Everybody's got to make that first decision and put action to it.
That's so good. And no, you're right. That's actually chapter 2 of my book, is the decision, because it is really, it's decision. And then the self-belief I wrote in chapter 3, that was my next thing that I wrote. And then it follows with affirmations and gratitude and all that. But the thing is, you're right. It is the decision, because you have to, no matter what you do. And when I'm working with women and talking to them even about, because a lot of times they come to me for this one thing. It may be to lose weight, or it may be to get physically fit, or maybe it's whatever it is, help them in business, whatever it is, because you and I have that background too.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to the same thing. It comes back to, you have to make a decision to want to work on you, because you have to be you have to be the piece that works, that makes the glue stick here. Because if you're not willing to work on, and when I refer to you, I'm talking about the headspace, the mindset. You have to work on that in order to fix all the things around you, your social relationships, your personal relationships, your health, your occupation. All of those things get better when you work on the individual's headspace. And so that's
Absolutely.
what I use, the idea of exercise. And this is so good that we're talking about this, because I was trying to explain this to somebody yesterday. I said, you can tell somebody, like I could tell somebody right now, don't eat that food and you're going to lose weight. And if you're motivated, you might do it, you might not, depending on how motivated you are, right? But if I tell you, if we work on your headspace and really work on building your self-confidence, helping you find that superpower, if it's going to affect everything in your life, are you motivated? If it's going to make your productivity and work better, if it's going to make your relationships better, if it's going to help you lose weight, all of those things, would you be motivated? You see what I'm saying? It just puts it has a whole different look to it, you know? So this is good.
Under the umbrella of the Master's Masterpiece, my book, is a program I call Feast to Live. And it has to do with, we have 3 immune systems. We're born with a physical immune system, but we also have a spiritual and emotional immune system that we must nurture. And if one is out of whack, they're all out of whack. And so we've got to work on this mindset. And what I discovered, Jennifer, was my spiritual life was weak. And it was because when the grief coach trainer encouraged me to write a book, and I shared with her Ephesians 2:10 was my favorite scripture about being God's masterpiece, she said, run with that. And that's how I came up with the book, The Master's Masterpiece. But what's interesting is I did not feel like I was God's masterpiece. How in the world could God love someone who was called all these names? How could he possibly love and care about me? Because I thought I was stupid. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was unworthy. People bullied me. How in the world could God love me? So I had to really work on that. And that fit in with the emotional and the spiritual pulled together there. Well, then I had to work on this physical body because I sure didn't like what I was seeing in the mirror.
Right.
Ugh, it was awful. And I was so critical. And here's something else that what I realized I did. And I talked about this in my TED Talk, was they bullied me. And yet I then bullied myself for 40 years. And then one day I realized I'd been bullying God because I had been so critical of this body, this person, my brain. I was critical of all of it. And I thought, I cannot believe what a bully I have been to myself and to God. And that was a light bulb moment going off. And a lot of things began to change then also.
That's awesome, Diane. So awesome. So good. Okay, Diane, so let's talk about who your clients are. Tell us a little bit of what you're doing, what your specialties are. Tell us what the big thing is here for you.
Well, I've been doing masterminds. I take my book and it has 10 chapters, and each chapter is a question with 4 answers. So if you did an answer a day, you'd have a 40-day devotional.
Very cool.
And at the back of it is a 10-week study journal. So you can do it by yourself. You can do it with a group. And right now I'm in a mastermind with some ladies, and we're doing 2 chapters a week. And so my focus is mainly Christian women. And yet I work with anyone who, is interested in coaching. And then there's the journal that goes with it that helps you to track your food, track your thoughts, track your prayers, the good things you've done through the day. So my client is someone who has a weight issue or just has some form of self-confidence, self-image, self-esteem issues. Because the things I share on weight issues, you can apply this to any area in your life.
Right.
That's what's cool about it. And as a grief coach, when I tell people I'm a grief coach, a lot of times it's like death. They only think, grief
Right.
and death. They put those two together. Grief is so many things. There's so much grief. There was a lot of grief surrounding my weight issue. There is grief surrounding people right now who, in the pandemic,
Sure.
Grief in divorce, grief in moving, grief in things happening in your life. So I work with women who have issues and they're in that pit and they don't think they can get out. And I get to reach my hand down and help them out. And then I walk beside them. So that's okay.
Yeah.
What else?
No, that's good. No, you did good because I was looking at your site today and I was looking at all of these certifications you have, and I just love this. The neat thing about all of them, though, is they really overlap each other. That's the beauty of all this, is because what we're both doing very similar things, and the thing is, it all is encompassing the headspace. So when you get that, all of these pieces just sort of kind of roll together. So I love this. And I think the great thing about, too, what you have there is you've got that personal testimony, which makes you authentic and relatable to people, because that's what they want. They want people that can relate to them and not somebody that's over here that's never really even walked in this space and they're giving advice. So I love all this. So,
and one other thing, too, Jennifer, is, and I mentioned this, that I lived the belief. I found something out, and this isn't to say anything negative about my parents, but after I was married, already had one child, expecting my second child, I was with some people, I was visiting my parents and my dad, we were talking about how I had lost the weight and kept it off. And my goodness, that was like 40 years ago. And he said, Diane's mom and I really expected her to gain all her weight back and flunk out of college. I'm so grateful I did not know that. However, how many people have had people say things to them, and so they live up to that expectation.
Right.
And when we can change the way we speak to people, and we can have pro-kindness, I don't want anti-bully, I want pro-kindness. And let's be good to people. Let's say kind things to people, and let's give them the belief that they can be so much more than they see that they can be. And that's what happened in that direct sales business that you and I are a part of, is I had people pour belief into me that I didn't believe I could achieve the things that I did. So I think that's a real key point.
You gave me chills, Diane. And it is so true. We've been incredibly blessed because we've been immersed in that culture. And it's so weird because that culture is very isolated. It is not a universal thing. And it's so crazy because when you step out of that and look into the world, you recognize that the world's just not built like that. It is not built that way. And we come from this, and you see this. And I'm like you. It's when you talk to, I've had a human behaviorist on here before. When you talk to these people, really, I mean, think about the difference about what a smile and a kind word how it can change the whole trajectory of a situation. It can take a negative situation and completely turn it around, and people don't always make that connection. So I just love what you said just now. You gave me chills. I was like, oh, we write that up when we get ready. When I do your little piece where I do your quote, maybe I'll pull that out. That'll be the quote right there. That's the whole thing right there. So good. All right, Diane. So one more really, I guess, thought question I want to ask you here. What do you love about what you do? What is the best part of this for you?
Oh, Jennifer, when a client has an aha, when they have a breakthrough, and I do most of my coaching over the phone. I do some by Zoom. And I remember the very first coaching session I did as a paid coach. Let me tell you, I was scared. And I did the session and I got off and I ran upstairs and said to my husband, oh, they had a breakthrough. This was so exciting. And I still get that excitement after 7 years of coaching, to know that a question I ask caused them to have that shift and to realize, to have that aha of, oh, I don't have to live this way. I don't have to think this way. You mean I can really move forward in my life? Oh, Jennifer, it is amazing. I absolutely love being a coach. And I love being able to speak to groups. Doing the masterminds are so much fun also, because I ask questions on that. It's not, a mastermind is so different from me just teaching a class. They mastermind and they come out with things, answers, and they also have breakthroughs during that time.
Yeah, no, and I would have to agree with you on that piece too, because there is that, and when they've had that breakthrough, the conversation's just different. It's just a different conversation. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's just even so little, when you're coaching someone, something that they may not have thought about, and then all of a sudden it's just they think about it a little differently, or I had one recently that it was so interesting because when I jumped back on the call with her, she had noticed that her relationship with her spouse was a little bit different. And I just sat back for a minute, and then the next part of my conversation was, this is the part where when you're starting to work on you, you show up differently. And the situations, the way your interactions with other people are going, they evolve differently. And a lot of it is just because you're showing up completely differently. You may be less reactive. You may be more open-minded to something. You may be more industrious. You know what I'm saying? That you just show up differently. So I would have to share all of that with you. I think that is huge. That's my favorite part too. It's the coming out when you get done and you're like, they're seeing it. They're finally seeing. They have control of this. They have control of the space up here. It's not their circumstances are not dictating them anymore.
Yes. And to find one of the things I love to work with people on is to find the lessons, the blessings, and the gifts in their circumstance.
Love it.
See, and I now am grateful for what I went through, because if I hadn't gone through it, I wouldn't be getting to do what I do now.
100%. Right.
Yeah. So, and one of the fun things I get to do as a John Maxwell coach is the DISC assessment. And we go deep. It really goes deep. And what's so exciting is as we go through that, what the clients learn about themselves and what they can learn how to better communicate even with their spouse and their children and the people they work with, and how to look at things with a different thought process.
Right.
So that is really exciting also, just to see them blossom.
Yeah, no, good stuff. And the DISC, yes, 100%. I'm with you on that too. That is, it's important to know, because a lot of people don't even really understand how they're being perceived. And if you don't really know how you're being perceived, then you don't know how to make changes, And so I think personal development is an ongoing thing. And in order, this is something that every day when I wake up, I always say I just strive to be better than I was the day before. That's how I live my life every day. It's just to be better than I was the day before. And I think that I wish that everybody would see that. That's why I explained that whole thing to you earlier, in the beginning, when I said, if you work on this, it changes everything in your life, because they don't really make the connection that if they do these things, that it's really going to have that much impact. And I say, oh yes, it does. That's why you see these people that all of a sudden they were over here and you wonder, how did they have this exponential growth and this breakthrough? How did they have this breakthrough? Which is going to lead me to my last final question I want to ask you before I do my fun ones. How do you define success? What does that look like for you?
Success is doing what you say you will do.
I love that.
Yeah. A lot of times people think success has to do with the amount of money you make or the position, the title. You know what, Jennifer? It is that daily decision. I'm going to do this, and I do it. And when I do that, I know I've been successful because I kept the commitment to myself. And a lot of people, they'll make a commitment, but then they don't keep it.
Right.
They'll keep commitments with everyone else, but they won't keep it with self. And we've got to make self better before we can be our best for other people. It's that love your neighbor as yourself type of thing. You've got to love yourself. And so make a commitment to yourself and do what you say you'll do. That is success.
Yeah, I'm just going to drop the mic right there, Diane. I love it. No, and 100%. I agree with you. I'm not even going to add anything to that. I could just keep going on about all this because you and I could keep talking about this stuff and just like, it's your worth.
Yeah.
You got to have your own worth. You got to believe that you're
Yeah.
important enough to do that. And that's the thing. And that's what we help people do. I love it.
Well,
So I got
and I'm so, and to be so grateful that God created us and to love ourselves, flaws and all, because that's what makes you a masterpiece. Those flaws make you a masterpiece because no one else has those flaws. And that's what makes a painting a masterpiece, because that artist will put a flaw in it to make it a masterpiece. So if we can look at our flaws as, ooh, that makes me also special and unique. No one else has that.
That's right.
Think about that.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Diane. Okay, I'm going to ask you some fun questions. I got to do my rapid fires with you really quick. This was all so good. You said so many great things. They're like all these like meme-worthy things, like so awesome. All right, so morning or night person?
Morning.
All right, she's ready to go. Slaying the day. I love it. All right, dog or cat person?
Dog.
Do you have a dog?
We don't now, but I love dogs.
It's all good. All good. All right, and Diane, what is your favorite food?
Oh.
She's like, I got to think
fruits
about
and
this.
veggies. I'm just I love my bananas and apples and I'm a fruit and veggie person.
All good. I had people say that and totally fine. I like fruits and veggies too. It's all good. All good.
And my legumes.
Love
my peanut butter.
You said your legumes.
I love my peanut butter.
I like legumes too. They just don't make my tummy very happy when I eat too many of them. So I've been on a little a legume hiatus right now. I'm like, I was having digestive issues. I love peanut butter. Like I could just eat peanut butter by the spoon. Like I love it.
Yep.
I'm like, I kept getting stomach aches and I'm like, why am I getting all these tummy aches? And then I realized I was like downing the peanut butter in the peanuts like crazy. I'm like, I cannot eat them.
Jar a day.
Yeah, I cannot eat too much, but I do love it. I totally could go down with peanut butter. Yes. All right, and Diane, you're gonna get a kick out of this one because you're probably gonna remember this from our little network marketing day. So if you were stuck on a deserted island, it's not a makeup though, but if you're stuck on a deserted island, you have your food, you can have your peanut butter, your legumes. What would be the one thing you'd have to have besides that, besides your food?
I have gotten so much into my studies. I'd have to have my Bible.
Very cool.
I would.
Yeah.
Books.
You can have a box of them. Like my friend who was on here a couple weeks ago, she said, I have a box of books. See, one item, a box
Yes.
of books.
I have so many books I'm reading right now. And got to have a notebook and take notes and a highlighter.
Yes, highlighters. Yes, I love highlighters. I would have to have paper. I would need like a journal because I like to think of things and I have to write them down as I'm thinking of them. So and I love
my
highlighters.
Bible, my markers, my paper for writing, and my water.
We're just going to give you a tub. We're going to give you a tub and you can everything you can fit in the tub. That's what you can take with you. All your highlighters, your Bible, your paper, your books, all of it. One tub. All right. And Diane, if you could be any superhero or character for one day, what would you pick?
I've been thinking about that and I'm going to say Wonder Woman, and I'm going to tell you why. 2 or 3 years ago, I was facilitating one of the trainings for the grief coach trainer. And she also had another program, and I was doing that program for her that day. And we were talking about something, and it was Halloween. And I went to the store and I found a Wonder Woman costume.
Awesome.
And I put that on and I wore it while I facilitated. And I know that shows how old I am, kind of, because some people are probably like, who is Wonder Woman?
I know who Wonder Woman is.
But what it says to me is I'm strong, I'm bold, I'm courageous. I can do this. I've done it this long. I can keep doing it. Or something new is coming in my life. Okay, you know what? I can do this. So I'd have to say Wonder Woman.
Good answer. I love it. Well, Diane, I want to tell you this, or I guess first, before I even say that, if our listeners want to learn a little bit more about you, check out your book and all your greatness, where do you want us to send them?
CoachDianeBurton.com.
All right. I love it. We'll make sure.
And
Go ahead.
Gmail is CoachDianeBurton@gmail.com.
Okay. And we'll make sure when we get this out that we get you tagged and we get all your website and everything connected to it so people know where to find you. So I do want to say thank you. You are awesome. I am so glad we're friends. I'm glad you were able to get on here, share your story. I know there are going to be people that are going to hear this and it's going to resonate. So thank you for being vulnerable and authentic and allowing, us to hear your message. I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Well, thank you for asking.
Absolutely.
It's been fun. I loved it.
Awesome. And I do want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook. Check us out on Amazon and iHeartRadio. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And with that, I want to leave you guys with a couple final thoughts here. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. And that is by Dale Carnegie. I love that one. Yeah. And lastly, in order to have success, you must start. And that start begins with a decision. I figured Diane's going to like that one. All right. Yes. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.